Are you the CEO of your life in biz? I'm Emily Alderson, and I'm on a mission to elevate the beauty industry one success story at a time. If knowledge is power and seeing is believing, imagine what could happen if you expanded your mind to the possibilities. What kind of shift could you make happen? This is Stories with Stylist. Hello and welcome to another episode of Stories with Stylist. I'm excited to have our guest here, Charlie, today. She has a really cool story about, ultimately what she's ended up doing is helping you take care of yourself, because we all know in this industry it is physically demanding and emotionally exhausting, and if we're not taking care of ourselves, it's that like put your gas mask on before you can assist others kind of thing.
Exactly.
That's what we're going to be chatting about. Yep. So welcome, Charlie. Thanks for being here.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. So first question for everyone, where are you from and what led you to cosmetology?
Yeah, so I actually do hair in a town called Redmond, which is right outside of Seattle, Washington. And I got into cosmetology late in the game. I was 28 when I went to beauty school. As a kid, I'd grown up an athlete and always thought I wanted to do something like in athletics. So I actually got into personal training straight out of college and did that for, oh my gosh, I don't know, however many years, until I realized this kind of like wasn't really for me. Like getting up at 4:30 in the morning to go like put, just person after person. It was like 12 people, straight in a row, day after day, just putting them through their workouts, just early mornings and just grinding it out all day. I just was like, you know what, I don't want to do this. Like, this isn't my passion. Like, I love fitness for myself and I love encouraging other people to do it, but like standing there and watching someone do squats or walk on a treadmill, run on a treadmill, like that was so just boring to me.
Right.
And so I was like, yeah, right. I was like, oh, this is absurd. I need to do something else. So yeah, I kind of went around with like eyes wide open. I was like, okay, if I am going to do something for the rest of my life, I need to make sure that I am madly in love with it. So what the heck is that, right? It's one of those, do what you love and the money will come, or do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I was just like, what the heck do I love? I don't know. And it was kind of funny, actually. One of my personal training managers had gone and gotten a haircut, and he's ex-military, so he's rocking like the high and tight, like military haircut. And I had kind of actually made fun of him a little bit. I was like, oh, rocking the high and tight, looking good. And he like totally laughed at me and was like, oh my gosh, girl, that's what we love about you. Every time somebody changes their look, you compliment them on it. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, that's my thing. Like, it is hair. I'm obsessed with hair. I'm always looking at people's hair. I'm always just even when I was in the salon getting my own hair done, I was obsessed with watching the other stylists doing the hair, blow drying, cutting, coloring, everything. I was just obsessed with watching the whole process go down. And I was like, that's what it is. That's what I have to do. And so I did. I ended up researching. There was a cosmetology school in my area that did a 3-day-a-week program. So I was able to personal train on the days I wasn't going to school. So I would go to school Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then I would personal train Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I did that for a year until I got through my cosmetology program. And then once I graduated, I ended up actually, the gym that I worked at is more like a health club. It actually had a salon within the gym. So I ended up working at that salon.
How funny. What was the feedback around kind of your support team in changing careers or going to cosmetology school? What would people say about it?
It's interesting. My mom actually was like, "Ugh, finally." And I was like,
Really?
What? Yeah, I had no idea. She's like, "I knew you'd always get into it." And I'm like, "Really? Like, I didn't know that. How did you know that?" She's like, "Because I'm your mother." And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally makes sense. And my husband was like all for it. He was, oh God, were we married at the time? We got married like right before I went to cosmetology school. So as I'm like making this decision, we're engaged at this point, and he was just all about it. He's like, go do what you love. Like, you're gonna be miserable if you're not doing what you love.
Yeah.
And so he was super supportive of the whole thing. I had it's funny, I've heard so many stories where, people say they announce they're going to cosmetology school and everyone's like, oh, that's sad.
Right.
But everyone in my life has been so supportive. It was nice. It was nice to be supported and to like have, people want me to do what I love.
Did you feel your age, I guess I should say, in school? Because I started a little bit later too, and I was definitely like, these people are
Oh my
really
God.
young.
Okay, legit, because I was 28 when I was in beauty school, so most of the girls that are there are like 18. And I remember, like, I will never forget, there was a conversation I was having with a girl, and she had like just gotten a credit card for the first time, and she asks me, she goes, okay, so when does like the balance go back to zero? And I'm like, when you pay it off. Like, how do you not know that? And then I realized, oh, because you're a baby.
Right.
It was just, and then some girls, when I was 28 and I was there, I knew it's because I was making a career move and I wanted to like, be a legit hairstylist. I wanted to be the best of the best. And I wanted to have like a very, strong, lucrative career. And, I was going to make a thing out of this. And then you could see, I don't know, maybe 75% of the other people were just like, yeah, I'm just here to play with doll heads and, I'm going to learn how to I like doing my own hair. So I'm going to go to beauty school. And they just, they were young and they didn't take it seriously. And, you saw both. But yes, I definitely felt my age in beauty. I think that was probably the first time in my life I was like, oh, I'm old.
Right. You're like, wait, when did that happen?
Right? I'm like, I don't feel old, but now, yeah, I'm old.
That's so funny. So you started working at the wellness center where you were. Was that like an easy transition, or how did you break up with your fitness clients? Or were you still overlapping at some point?
I overlapped a little bit. Like when I graduated from beauty school and I started working in the salon, I did a year of assisting of apprenticeship. So I still had personal training clients from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. And with that job, I was in this like blue, like personal training, like our uniform that we had to wear. And then when I would go down to the salon, I would literally like run into a closet and I would like Superman change into like my black salon clothes.
Yeah.
And then ironically enough too, like I'm one of those stylists that has like a fake name, like Charlie is not my birth name, right? So as a personal trainer in the blue outfit, I would have like my real name tag on. And then when Superman changed into my black clothes and went down to the salon, I had my Charlie name tag on. So people would literally see me at like 9:55 upstairs in my blue outfit with one name, and then they'd see me in the salon like 5 minutes later in black clothes with a different name tag, and they were like, do you have a twin? Like, I'm confused. Like, it was so fun. But so that year of apprenticeship, I still was able to maintain a couple of my clients, because like I said, I would personal train from 6 to 10, and then I would Superman change and go down to the salon, and I would work from 10 to 6 as the apprentice. And so I was able to keep some of them, but like very long day. Yeah. But hey, I guess you got to hustle when you're chasing your dreams. But yeah, so it was just kind of slow breakup. And like, as I was going, like all of my personal training clients were aware of the fact that I was going to beauty school and that eventually like I would be leaving the fitness industry. And then also, I mean, I had a team of, there were like 100 personal trainers. And so I was able to take my clients and, put them with other trainers that I thought they would, mesh well with.
Yeah. Side note, what's your actual name? Wait, and wait, why did you make a new name?
Okay, so my real name is Jamie. But I know. My real name is Jamie, but when I was going into the salon, they already had a hairstylist named Jamie. And so they're like, you have to pick a new name. And I'm like, okay. And so as a kid, my nickname was Mimi, but I was like, I don't think that sounds very professional. And like, I don't, and Mimi is actually kind of still too close to Jamie. So I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I was like, okay, like, what's my favorite movie? And I'm like, okay, my favorite movie is Dirty Dancing. And I'm like, wait, her name is Baby. I cannot go by Baby. That's absurd. Like, no. And so I was like, what's my second favorite movie? Like Top Gun. I'm like, oh, Charlie. Charlie is like Maverick's love interest. Heck yeah, I'm going by Charlie. So I chose Charlie.
So funny. My cousin is Kelly, and she did the same thing when she went into her salon. I think there may have been like two Kellys already working there.
Oh,
And so at the salon, she went by Mackenzie. And I remember like I met one of her clients or something, and they said that. I was like, who's Mackenzie?
what?
You know, it wasn't even like her middle name or anything. It was just completely made up. And she did
just
her
made
whole,
it up.
yeah, she did her whole career that way too. So I just had to tangent because that made me laugh.
No, it's totally fine. Well, it's so funny because people will find out that like Charlie's not a real name. And then their number one question is always, what does your husband call you? And I'm like, he calls me by my name, like Jamie. Like I'm not like what? And then of course I always want to say something super appropriate and like come up with some weird nickname. Like he calls me Sugar Nipples or just something totally weird just to like throw them off. But I'm like,
Down, yeah.
no, he calls me Jamie. Like it's because that's my name.
Yeah.
But I have now like created such an identity around Charlie that like if we were in the salon and you were to call me Jamie, like it's almost offensive. Like it weirds me out. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
that's not my name. Like I've just latched on to Charlie's. I don't know.
That's cute
I'm
and it
sure
suits you. So
thank you. I like it.
okay, so our tangent. Um, do you feel like having done like a transition like that, it made it easier, like as you grew in your career, to have conversations like that with your salon clients? Like, I'm going to be transitioning, or I'm changing my days, or I'm moving on, because you'd kind of practiced it?
Oh my gosh, yes. So much actually about my personal training career in general has helped me in the hair world, just whether or not it is learning how to deal with all sorts of different clients on a day to day. Because, you get, Susie Q in your chair for a haircut, and she is super happy and bubbly and just the best thing on earth. And then right after that, you have like a balayage with like Bertha, who is just the most negative, Eeyore on earth. And so you have to learn how to kind of adapt your personality and make the best out of both situations, as well as, yeah, there's, having the conversations with my personal training clients. As a personal trainer, there are times where your rates go up. Okay, I used to charge $10 an hour. Now I'm charging $20 an hour, and which those are not actual prices, but whatever. As an example. And so I had to learn how to have that conversation, which has definitely helped me as a stylist, especially an independent stylist now that I'm out on my own in my own salon suite. When I give myself a raise, hey, just so today your haircut was 75, but when you come back in January, it's going to be 80. And so it has, a lot of just the hard conversations and hard conversations as a personal trainer. I was 24 years old talking to these 48-year-olds, and I'm like, you're not doing your homework. You are supposed to be working out, eating healthy, drinking your water, getting enough sleep. You're not doing any of that. And so I feel like I'm like scolding my mother at that point.
Sure.
Which was really uncomfortable as a quote unquote child of 24 to like be scolding these older people that are super successful in their careers and they've got everything together, but they can't take care of themselves. And so having those conversations, younger in a different career has helped me have hard conversations with my clients now behind the chair. So it's funny because people will say to me like, wow, like personal training and hair, it's so different. And I'm like, actually, no, I learned a lot from dealing with personal training clients and building my personal training business. It has definitely transitioned over into my hair world 100%.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. a personal connection type thing. You still have to teach them how to maintain things at home.
Yeah,
I'm sure you chat about your day and your kids and whatever. Yeah, appointment based.
exactly. Exactly. And then even just like a level of like learning how to have that personal connection and have those conversations, but at the same time keep it professional,
Mm-hmm.
right? I am a stylist that thinks that that is very important. Is there always needs to be a little bit of buffer where, you know, you're not my bestie. We're not having that level of conversation. I will talk to you about whatever you want, but like it has to maintain a level of professionalism, because then when it's time for me to say, oh, you know, your balayage and your haircut and your treatment today are $350, they're not going to look at me and be like, but no, we're friends. Like,
Mm-hmm.
give me the homie hookup. Like, no,
Yeah,
like
or I just told you that like my husband lost his job or whatever, and you're like,
oh my gosh, yes, which
it's hard.
that's heartbreaking. And I feel
Of
for that
course.
person, but it's not my responsibility to choose how you spend your money.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's, again, yes, my personal training background definitely helped me with that,
So when you
which is
were at
fantastic.
the yeah, definitely. When you were at the fitness salon, you apprenticed, and then did you end up working there as well? And was it commission based or booth rental, or how did that what did that look like?
Yep. So after a year of being an associate, I transitioned into being a full-time stylist and was a commission stylist. Yeah. And so because I had no experience,
Mm-hmm.
I was the bottom of the totem pole. I was dirt cheap and had the crappy schedule and just, yep, had to work
Putting
for,
in work. Mm-hmm.
oh yeah, oh yeah. But the beautiful thing that is you know, I was able to grow a clientele quickly, and I do attribute it to, well, a couple of things. I didn't transition any of my personal training clients into hair clients, but what I did do was do all of the personal trainers' hair, and I would do their hair on a discount, which they were getting a discount on dirt cheap prices. So, I mean, I was making no money off of them, but I would give them cute hair. They would then go train all of their clients.
Mm-hmm.
And then their clients would be like, who's doing your hair? And they're like, oh, Charlie in the salon. She used to be a trainer, but now she's doing hair. Like, you should go see her. And then I started building my books that way.
That is a
So I
great
just,
marketing technique. Yeah.
I know, right? And I didn't realize I was so smart at the time, but now looking back, I was like, that was a smart move. That was a good
Totally.
move.
Totally.
Because, like,
And I think,
why?
well, there's like a big thing around like not discounting and not charging whatever, but I think when it's intentional, when you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing, it clearly can pay off, right?
Yes. And it, you know, I didn't like discount everyone, but it was one of those like, okay, you know, we'll do, you know, your hair cut or your like, I don't know, your highlights for a color price or something like that. Um, but you need to tell all your clients like who did your hair. Like, here are my
Mm-hmm.
cards, hand them out, because that was,
You
you
are my
know, back in the
billboard.
day.
Yeah,
Exactly.
totally.
Yeah. Like, you need to market for me. But then when their clients would come in, I wouldn't discount their clients. Their clients
Right.
paid full price.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it was
yeah.
just, yeah, it was like you said, strategic.
That's perfect. And what at that point in time, I don't know what I'm not good with yours, but what was it like? So did the salon just feed you clients, or were you trying to like build an Instagram or a following on your own?
Instagram. Yeah. This was like 2012. So Instagram was not a huge thing yet. Um, and so it was more of the salon fed me clients, as well as I just marketed to all of my personal training friends and essentially their, you know, clients. It was kind of the trickle effect. Um, and then just everyone, you know, I saw if they, you know, I always made sure my hair was like looking really good, and they were like, oh, your hair looks good. I'm like, well, thanks, I'm actually a hairstylist, like, you should come see me. And I would just blab to everyone. And then also, so my husband is actually a personal trainer at the place I was working at, and so he would just talk to all of his clients about, oh yeah, you know, she's doing the hair thing now and it's going really well, and like you should go see her. Or if like one of them would, I'm like, he's such a goober. So he like if they came in with like a new haircut or something, he'd be like, oh, he's like, I like your A-line bob. And they'd be like, what? How do you know that? He's like, oh, he's like, my wife's in hair school and, you know, I'm helping her, study or whatever. And I'm like, oh, like,
So
he was
cute.
such a goober, but he was amazing. And he would feed me clients too.
Nice. I think
Yeah.
there's still something too. I mean, obviously there's tons of program and advice and things around like marketing with social media, but don't you think like old school referrals will always be a thing?
Here, I am like super active on my Instagram, and I'm constantly like posting and marketing myself on Instagram. And still to this day, my number one way of getting clients is just word of mouth referrals through my clients that are already in my chair.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, same. And I think the value is in having that as a portfolio, but
yes,
it's just one of the many tools now I think we have to have.
totally. Totally. Like you need to have a legit website because people are going to like, okay, so if I were to tell you like, oh, go see my hairstylist, like you're not just going to be like, okay, and just call her
Right.
and just make a blind appointment, right? You're going to research her, like you're going to look up Instagram. So your Instagram needs to look good because people are going to look at it. People are going to research you on your website. So you need to have a decent looking website. Like people are going to research you online before they actually take, their friend's recommendation. So you do need to have all of those for sure. But I still think that like the number one best way of getting people in your chair is through people that are already in your chair.
Yeah. And ultimately, like likely those are going to be your best clients either. If you love your client and then her best friend comes in, there's a great chance you're going to love them too.
There has been I can only think of maybe a handful of times where, someone sent in their bestie or their sister-in-law or somebody, and I've been like, oh, you guys are best friends? That's surprising because I love Janice, but I cannot stand you, Martha, or whoever. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
but like in general, like I said, that's only a handful of times. In general, yeah, if person one is cool, then person two is cool too.
I've only had it get a little dicey sometimes when I do like the whole family or like sisters or like husband and wife, and sometimes it's like I know too much, you know.
Oh my gosh, especially with the husband and wife, you're like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Like client hairstylist, just confidentiality.
Totally.
What's said in the
Totally.
chair will stay in the chair.
Hopefully. Please don't let me slip
Right.
anything. Yeah.
Right? Oh my goodness. Yikes.
Yeah. Or they're like, or you're like, oh, how was your whatever? And they're like, how do you know about that? I'm like, yeah. Sorry.
Oh, was I not supposed to say that? My bad.
Oops. So funny. It is like fun of the job though, I think. Like I love connecting with clients in that way too, Just kind of getting
Oh
to
my gosh,
know
that's the
people.
best. That's like the best part is I feel like doing the hair is kind of like I find great joy in it. And I'm like, oh, look, something pretty that I created. Like it's arts and crafts for me all day. But at the
Mhm.
same time, like what can make it or break it for me is the person in my chair. Like if we're connecting and we're chit chatting and we're having a good time and it's fantastic, like best day ever. But if
Yep.
it's someone that I don't really connect with or like I'm struggling with, basically they're not my target market and I just have nothing in common with this person, I'm just like, this was not a great day. Like it was fine. Like if their hair was pretty, but
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
not the best.
Totally. And I think
And then,
that goes into like when you can hit that burnout zone, don't you think?
girl, yes, it is. Which is why, like, nice little plug there.
You're welcome.
I actually ended up, yeah, thank you. I actually created like a program. I've created an Instagram page called Self Care Stylist, and I've created a program because that can 100% totally happen, right? Where it's like either you're staying late for your clients too often, you've got energy vampires in your chair, or maybe your form isn't correct, you're not standing properly, or you're not taking the lunch break and eating throughout the day, you're not going to the bathroom throughout the day, you're not drinking water, which I know is super hard now that we have to wear masks 24/7.
Awful.
So
Yeah.
like all of these things can play into whether or not like a you have a good day, or B, you end up making this career like a long-term career. Because if your body breaks down or your mentality breaks down, like you're toast.
Game
Absolutely.
over.
I remember as a personal trainer, one of my hairstylists was like, oh yeah, this job is like really hard on the body. And I'm like, girl, I'm a personal trainer. What are you talking about? You stand there all day. Like what? And now as a hairstylist, I'm like, oh my goodness, it is so hard on the body. Like you need to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you were going to break down. And I ended up doing that a couple of years ago. I think that's what actually fueled my passion for helping hairstylists take care of themselves behind the chair, because there was a couple of years ago, I was just working too dang much. I was not taking care of myself. And like I was a new mom. And so it was like I was trying to balance work life and then, just make sure all of my clients are happy and all this stuff. And I was just doing too much. And I ended up like ruining I had to take a month off of work. Like I literally couldn't turn my neck. I couldn't lift my arm. Like I was just I ended up basically having a bulge in C6, C7, and like having radiating like nerve pain down my arm. My hand was going numb when I was doing hair. I mean, it was bad. Like it was like I couldn't turn my head. I couldn't use my hand. It was potentially the end of my career. Like I started looking into like sales reps positions for different hair care lines. Like I was about to literally like get out of the industry. And I ended up finding a doctor who was like, no, we're going to fix you. And I remember sitting in his office and crying and being like, no one else has like told me this. No one, like everyone else was just like, no, you need to stop doing hair. Like physical therapies, other doctors, like everyone was like, no, you need to stop doing hair. Like you need to stop. Like you need to stop working out. You need to stop doing hair. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what doctor tells me I need to stop working out? That's insane.
Yeah.
And this doctor told, yeah, right. I was like, exercise is good. Like, why would you tell me to stop? But anyways, so yeah, I was all fired up. And when, this doctor basically agreed to help me and totally did, he got me through it. He rehabbed me. And now I'm back behind the chair. And my like fire is that I was like, A, this will never happen to me again. And B, I will not allow this to happen to other people. Like this could have all been prevented and avoided had I set boundaries around my schedule, had I set boundaries around my workout times and made sure that those happened, had I set boundaries around, taking a lunch break, taking, a time for myself, stretching at the end of the day, just so many different things. So many little things really can be done in order to avoid injury and burnout. Yeah. So clearly I'm all fired up about it because I just went on a huge tangent.
No, but it's so good and it's so important. And I I had my own burnout moment, but a lot of it did have to do with having kids and having this like very much need to like do it all. Like I can do it all. And I felt good. And because I was very fortunate to have a good, like easy pregnancy and an easy birth and an easy baby. So to speak, that doesn't mean I wasn't actually fucking exhausted all the time. And also right. You underestimate how much you hold that child. So I don't know if that happened like on one side or the other, like where you hold baby, but like, yeah, you're holding baby and you're already doing this all day. And then you're holding, baby, however baby wants, because God forbid you like move it an inch the wrong way or put it in a different position and then the crying happens again. You're like, oh, please just don't put that in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
like, but my body is destroyed, but I will stay full so this child will sleep.
Please make the crying stop. Yes.
Right. Yeah. Well, and then too, mine was after baby number 2, and my baby number 2 was like a monster. He is huge. Like he is gonna grow up and be a linebacker. Like he is just huge. And so yeah, it was like after baby number 2, I'm like doing this all the time with him. And then, doing this with, the foils and the blow dries and the cuts and the colors and all that jazz. And it was just too much. My body was like, nope.
Forget it. Yeah. And I think I know when I had my son, I had a 2-year-old at home. So all of my nap when they nap thing is out the
That doesn't
window.
happen.
That's
No.
not a thing
Yeah.
anymore. My water consumption turned to coffee, and so
Yes.
I'm still like filtering that out and recovering from that 2 years later. It's so important that we take care of our bodies. And as awful as this shutdown was this year with everything going on, that like gift of time off, because that's what the doctors will say about anything. Oh, just rest. Oh, just don't use it. Okay. Like, when's that supposed to happen? And so I really,
Right.
really did see a difference in my body. But I know, I make a conscious effort to take more time. I stopped double booking when I was pregnant. That made a huge difference, but I had to adjust my prices accordingly, which was probably necessary way before that.
Anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember seeing a lot of people being like, I can't double book anymore. How will I make my income? It's like, well, I bet you can. Find
Yeah.
a way for your future. Like, if you want to keep going like this, you have got to find a way to take care of yourself and take care of your body.
Totally. And I love that you saw the shutdown like as a gift of time, because that's how I looked at it too. Like I will totally admit, the first 2 weeks I was like, vacation, what's that? Like I was super almost excited to be like off of work, which is probably a sign that I was near burnout anyways. If I'm that excited that the whole country is shut down, I'm like, perfect. But yes, then 3 months later, I was like, okay, enough of this. Like,
Right.
but seriously, like I had the gift of time. I had the gift of time to really take care of my body, to feed it the proper nutrition, to, drink all the water. And then I also had the time to like hang out with my kids, that I maybe didn't as much before, because I was concentrating more on like work and like contacting my clients and like getting back to this and a message here and a Facebook or Instagram post there, all the things, which through the lockdown made me also realize, okay, no, I need to better time block and allocate my time for like, okay, I do Instagram posts in the morning. I do, this workout on this day. I, pack my lunch the night before so that I have my food, in my little fridge in my studio at work. It gave me the time to sit back and say, okay, when life returns, because when everyone said like, oh, get back to normal. And I'm like, actually, I don't want to really get back to normal 100%. Like I want to get back to normal, like a better version of normal. So what do I have to do in order for that to work? And so I literally just like mapped out like my daily routine, and it's worked phenomenally for me.
Yeah, having just that time to like stop and think about what are my priorities. And I think also too, not that it was like fun not having an income, but it really does like make you check yourself. Like, what do you really need to buy? What do you really need to spend on? And what do you
Right?
enjoy doing or could delegate to somebody else? So like since then I've hired a
Yes.
virtual assistant, and it's like turns out I can go without like multiple trips to Target, or like because I don't need those things. I want time. I want time freedom. I
Yeah.
want somebody to help me with things that I hate doing.
Yes.
And so that's been
100%.
huge. Huge.
Yeah.
But planning,
We
especially when you have kids, and even if you don't, like planning what your week looks like, just so that you can know, and then learning to just shift if you have to. Yeah.
Yes, obviously. And I think life in general, and then especially when you have children, like you have to be flexible. You've got to shift, like, because you can plan out. I mean, like I plan out my outfits I'm going to wear for the day, for the entire week. Like I plan out like, the night before I get, my lunch ready, the boys' lunch ready. I line up all of our masks because they go to school, but they have to wear a mask at school. So like I have my masks laid out. Like I just have everything laid out. I've got the dog's leash right there because, I have to clip the dog's leash on to get her in the truck to go to work, and because I take her to work with me. And it's just all, because we were the people that got the puppy during COVID, of course. Like who didn't?
Yeah.
But
If anybody benefited from COVID, it's the rescue dogs for sure.
I swear to goodness, like humans may have suffered a bit during COVID, but like dogs leveled up 100%
Thriving.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, like just planning everything out, like, and you can do that. But then what happened the other morning, I literally thought to myself, I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're just gonna have to go with this. Like, one of the kids, I don't know, one of the kids threw up, or it was something totally random. And I was like, what? Where did that come? Okay, I guess we'll adjust and move on. Here we go. Like,
Yeah,
the
that actually
dog had
happened.
like had an accident.
Oh yeah, that's always fun. I know that
Yeah,
everything happens like right as you're walking out the door. You're like, really, we've
always,
been up for
always.
hours. Yeah. Now this
Yeah.
morning, well, as we're recording today, it's Veterans Day, so no school.
Yes,
And
yes.
I actually live next door to my in-laws, and they are childcare on Wednesdays. And so I walked the kids next door and realized there are no cars here. No one's home. And my daughter looks at me and she goes, well, who's going to babysit us then? I'm like, that's a great question.
Great question. Oh
I
my
don't know.
goodness.
Maybe I'm locking you in a room upstairs while I take care of my clients. But I think, I immediately like go into, okay, what do we do? I got to start texting my clients. Maybe I can rearrange a few things. Maybe I can, but I never move my clients around. And I think like when I really, really need it, I don't feel like too weird about reaching out. But I don't want to make a habit of it, obviously. And they came home eventually and it worked out after I like shifted some things. But it's just one of those things you're
Yeah.
like, okay, here we go. Yeah.
But that's it too, like having the plan. So, okay, the plan is normally that, Nana and Papa like babysit on Wednesdays, but like, okay, if that doesn't happen, what's the backup plan? And like having that backup. And then too, yeah, like the fact that, if you rarely move your clients around, when you then reach out and you're like, I am so sorry, but like, I just have to do it. Like, I've got to put you, like, we have to, change your appointment. Then they're totally cool with it. And they understand because they know that you're not a flake who does this all the time.
Exactly.
They're not frustrated. They understand, like, okay. And I've built a beautiful clientele full of a bunch of moms. And so if I'm like, yo, like, kiddo is sick, they're like, totally get it. Like, just
Yeah.
plug me in wherever you can.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, especially now with people working from home and kids being mobile or not or virtual, and everything's changing. So I think
for sure.
we're definitely kind of in a roll with it mentality right now, and I think it's a good thing, really, that kind of
I think
flex.
so. I hope so. I can see some of my clients that are kind of fighting it a little bit. And I do notice, maybe not just my clients, just people in general, can be fighting that a little bit. And I can like physically see like their mental like struggle and their mental like breakdown. And I'm like, oh honey, like no. And again, I go into my self-care stuff. I'm like, you've gotta take care of you. Like what is gonna work best? Like let's switch that let's have a little mental shift so
Mm-hmm.
that we can adjust things. And just, I mean, literally, to me kind of, I mean, 2020, yes, like you should always be what's the word I'm looking for, like trying to like thrive, and like level up. But I feel like 2020 is also just about survival, and what do you have to do to survive and get through it, and ideally in like good ways.
Healthy ways,
I
yeah.
Healthy ways, yeah.
Mhm.
Maybe not drink like all of the
Every
wine. I'm
night,
not saying you can't, right?
yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying you can't have like a glass or two like every once in a while. Totally get it. Hey, I support that. I do it myself. But like all the bottles all the time, I don't know.
Maybe not.
Maybe we can go for a walk
Terrible
instead.
idea.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no judgment. No judgment. Again, it's about survival. We got to do what we got to do.
For sure, for sure. What would you say is something that you noticed, maybe like with coworkers or other stylists? Do you have any pointers from like a physical standpoint of what people can do to maintain posture and ergonomics and that sort of thing? Just like a few big things that you notice often.
Yeah, totally. A lot of it is just we put ourselves in weird positions a lot. So my whole thing is I call it like align activate. So it's like make sure that you're in alignment, i.e. your spine is like nice and neutral, like essentially keep your back straight, and then activate the proper muscle groups. So like make sure that the muscle groups that kind of can pinch your shoulder blades down and back are activated, because that is going to keep your shoulders down and back as opposed to up here, right? If our shoulders are up by our earlobes, then we're going to get a lot of like neck and upper back issues. If we flex our glutes, right, our big old booties, If we flex those, that's going to support where our like back meets our lower body, and that's going to help keep our back in alignment. If we pull our belly buttons in, activate our core, that's going to keep our back in alignment. So it's literally just all about maintaining like neutral spine and flexing the right muscle groups in order to keep everything properly, you know, essentially just keep proper ergonomics. Same things too, like doing, not everyone can see the video, but like, yes, having your like wrists bent all weird, you're going to end up with carpal tunnel. So when you're cutting, keep those elbows up, right? When you're blow drying, keep your wrists straight, like blow drying, brushing, everything. Just try and keep your wrist as straight as you can, so you're not, you know, it's not bent at a weird angle, which will cause carpal tunnel. And I mean, there's just so many different things. It's all basically what it all boils down to is don't put your body in some weird wonky position. Like if you need to kneel on the floor to like do that haircut of that girl that has hair down to her low back, kneel on the floor. Like don't bend over all crazy, you know, or have her stand up, you like kneel down so that you're eye level with that hair, so that again you can keep your spine neutral. Don't hunch over and bend yourself into a question mark.
Right.
So many
and
different
don't forget
things.
your chair goes up and down.
Your chair goes up and down. Yep, that's what that little pump
like,
is for.
Yeah. That was constantly me.
And
like,
there's actually,
oh yeah, and I'm short, so I'd be like, oh yeah, I can move this.
right.
So
there are times actually, well, I'll even get, and I'm not short, I'm 5'6.5", but there are times where maybe I'm doing like balayage and I'm like way up on top of the, you know, on top of their, if they're tall and I'm trying to get like on that top section, you know, in that top mohawk section there, if I can't reach it, girl, I will bust out a step stool. Like I'm not afraid to look like a dork so that I will save my body, because
yeah.
I would rather look like the dork standing on a step stool. Although actually, I don't even know if it's dorky. Sometimes people are like, "Ooh, what is she doing over there?" You know,
Yeah. She's all
like
up on a
that,
step stool. Cool.
right? She's taking this serious. What's going on? It's like attention grabbing. So
Yeah, I must admit,
I don't
I've
know.
asked clients to slouch as well. Like, just
And
a
that's
little
totally
bit.
fine. Yeah. Or even if I'm like maybe foiling like their front like bang section or something, I'm like, okay, can you, and I will stand in front of them and I'm like, okay, can you sit up nice and tall and then lean towards me? And they just sit up nice and tall, they lean towards you, and then that puts their forehead like right towards you, so you're not bending over and like straining your
Mm-hmm.
low back, because them sitting in that position for 15 minutes is so much better than me ruining my back
Day in and
all
day
day.
out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to have an overuse injury.
So smart. And then something to take care of ourselves at home.
Oh my gosh. Number one thing, get enough sleep. Like honestly, like that's when your repairs. Um, so trying to get enough sleep, having a regular bedtime, having a regular wake up time. And then when you wake up, my morning routine is I start my day with like gratitude. So I like list 5 things that I'm like grateful for. It can be people, it can be things, it can be the weather, it can be the fact that I even open my eyes in the morning, like whatever. Just start the day with gratitude and start your day off on a positive note, and just gets you in the right mindset. Then I go downstairs and I drink a big glass of water, because water hydration is so important, not only for our body, but for our brain. And if you've got some crazy, you know, formulations coming at you later in the day, like you need your brain to be working and firing on all cylinders. And then I always do some sort of movement, whether it's hopping on the Peloton, whether it's doing a strength training workout in my garage, or even just like stretching. Some days I'm just like, my body's tired. You got to listen to your body. Sometimes my body's tired. I don't have like the energy to do like a workout. So I will, you know, stretch or meditate. And then, you know, you can get into the rest of your day. But really, it's just kind of taking that time for you. Sometimes, in fact, the other night, I've got 2 little boys. They're 4.5 and 6, and they just, I mean, that plus a puppy is, my house is chaos, right? And I was just kind of over it. And so I looked at my husband. I'm like, can you watch them? I'm like, I'm gonna go upstairs and fold laundry. So I go and I fold laundry in our room while watching like the cheesy like Christmas Hallmark movies. It was like the best evening I could have given myself, was just sitting there like watching these movies. Like my self-care that day was Hallmark Christmas movies, and it was fantastic.
I think,
So
yeah,
it's
that is
just,
such good advice, because it doesn't have to be like meditating on a lotus flower, doing this amazing workout or whatever. Like Netflix can be self-care.
it can totally,
Yeah.
like
Not
it just
always,
not, you know,
but
it,
yeah.
not always. Yeah, not always. You know, sometimes it's coloring, like those adult coloring books. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, somebody had given my children one of those adult coloring books that was actually, it was like unicorns farting or something so silly. But like, every once in a while, it's really fun to like color unicorns farting. I don't know. Like, you figure out what works for you, right? Sometimes
Totally.
it's going for a walk. Sometimes it's doing your own nails. Sometimes it's reading a trashy romance novel. Like, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever
and
works for you.
everyone's going to be different. So, like, no judgment on what you think you should do or shouldn't do, because what you need is going to be different than what I need.
Exactly. Exactly. Sometimes it's going to, you know, your local coffee shop instead of making your own coffee at home. Whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
treat yourself.
whatever brings you joy. Yes, whatever brings you joy, makes you feel good, and it just makes you feel like you've had a moment to quote unquote treat yourself, and like make you feel like an important person, or a like you're quote unquote worth it. That's all that matters. That's all it takes.
Perfect. Where can people find you on social media?
Oh my goodness. Well, my self-care page is selfcare.stylist. And then my hair page is, oh gosh, what's my hair page? charlieb.hair.artistry.
Perfect. And I'll link it below. And then what are you offering stylists right now if people wanted to work with you
Oh my gosh,
as far
yeah.
as
So I'm
coaching?
doing like self-care. Yeah, I'm doing self-care coaching. Right now I just launched a little like 5 steps to avoid holiday burnout. Totally just like a little free PDF. You give me your email, I'll just email it to you. Otherwise, starting soon, I will be doing self-care coaching programs where it's like an 8 to 12 week program, and we go through, there's different modules every week. We concentrate on something different, whether it's, you know, your morning routine, whether it's exercise and nutrition, or it's setting boundaries and, you know, adjusting your work schedule to make sure that you're not, you know, spending too much time at work, or that you're charging appropriately, that thing. It's just basically kind of a step-by-step program to get you into like an ideal, not only mindset, but lifestyle and schedule, so that you don't burn out.
I love it.
And then
Well,
it
thank
comes,
you. But go ahead.
I was gonna say, it comes with like a bunch of different like little workout videos and stuff, as far as like form at the
Ooh.
shampoo bowl, or form you know, behind the chair styling, that sort of thing. So like what you can do in the salon to help your body.
I love that. And it really is so important, because if you don't see that you've been doing it wrong, sometimes you just don't adjust because we're just used to, like, I guess this is what my body feels like, shit, you know?
Right? It's like, oh, I
Yeah.
guess I just always have low back pain. Like, no, you don't have to.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing all this information with us.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for having me. It was a blast.
We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode. If you liked it, and I know you did, please don't forget to leave a 5-star review. I love hearing from other stylists, so take a screenshot of the episode and tag me in it at Mindful Hair by Emily. If you have a story to share and would like to be on a future episode, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. We'll see you guys next Monday with more Stories with Stylists.